Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the LOL Pro League. My name is Munchables, and casting with me today is Osigalus. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Really looking forward to casting some of these games with you.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be heading straight into our first game of today. It's going to be Renaissance versus Aces High. This is day 2 of our group stage in this tournament. You want to quickly run us through the standings after day 1 yesterday? Obviously, yesterday wasn't streamed, unfortunately, but we have had 4 games so far. Do you want to run us through the results of those quickly?
Alright, so in game 1 we had Hard Random up against Rock's Kiss. Rock's Kiss took that victory. Rock's Kiss also played in the second game against Virtus Pro and took that victory as well. So currently, Rock's Kiss are 2-0 at the moment. Then we saw Renaissance, who are one of the teams in our first match today, play against Thunderbot Sparta. They lost that game, and then following that, Thunderbot Sparta also won out against Tricked Esports.
Okay, so first game we're going to see with Aces High in it, and obviously Renaissance going to be wanting to even out their score to 1-1, but we are straight into Champion Select here. First bans coming out, we're going to see Jace banned out for Renaissance and Nar banned out for Aces High.
Those are both fairly typical bans. I mean, obviously Nar is disgustingly strong in the top lane right now, has been ever since he entered the competitive scene. He wasn't available at Worlds, but it's been a while since then. We've seen him in a few games, and he is very, very strong. Also, Jace at Worlds was dominant. People started picking him up again. You know, previously Jace was a champion that was very popular, but he kind of fell out of the scene for a while. But now that he's back in, he's been showing exactly how strong he still is.
He has indeed, and just one of those really annoying to deal with mid laners, and just keeps on throwing out those accelerated shock blasts. And if he goes tier early, which you regularly see Jaces do, mana really isn't too much of an issue for them either. And a couple of interesting bans coming out as well. We do see a Kale ban, which not something that we see very often, and then Irelia and Warwick, both incredibly standard bans at the minute. Warwick especially is obscene in this current meta with the new smite. And then we're going to see Pantheon banned out for Renaissance as well.
Yeah, those bans all make a lot of sense with the exception of the Kale, which may be a targeted ban, to be honest. Kale isn't something that we see banned, frequently, but she has a very good strategic niche. She's very good at protecting a hyper carry. So if you do pick her, typically it indicates some kind of protect the X composition. Warwick, on the other hand, like you were saying, ridiculously strong right now after the changes. He just has so much ability to get on someone and instantly destroy them, just shred them down with that Skirmisher Saber or Devourer enchant, or even if he doesn't go for those things and picks up a Blade of the Ruined King, he still shreds people. He just clears the jungle really safely, very fast. He is a very, very strong pick in the current meta.
Definitely is. And going to be seeing Fiddlestick's first pickup on the side of Renaissance. Obviously, an incredibly strong champion in this new jungle. I mean, you have infinite sustain, and the ganks are incredibly strong as well from him. Obviously, you have the fear, and you've got a silence that can bounce around an entire enemy team, as well as your self-heal. And, of course, the cream of the entire moveset is the Crow Storm. You can jump into a team and obliterate those health bars.
Yeah, Crow Storm is such a good ability if you can land a big one. The drawback, obviously, is that if the casting animation is stopped, it goes on cooldown for the full duration and doesn't do anything. So, vision control is extremely important if you're playing against the Fiddlesticks. I'd be expecting the enemies to, try and ward all of the areas to the sides of wherever they're pushing. So let's say they're pushing down mid lane and they're at the inner tower, where you're going to try and ward in that Wraith Bush, or the Razor Beaks as they now are, or you're going to try and ward on the entrance to blue buff, just in case he flanks you and uses Crow Storm to jump over that wall and make a very, very powerful engagement.
Indeed. So next picks we're going to see coming out are Aces High, going to pick up the Janna and Lucian. And then immediately we see the Renaissance bot lane locked in as well. So it's going to be Janna Lucian versus Corky Thresh. How do you feel that lane's going to pan out?
Janna Lucian has a little bit more ability to just poke and then back away. The Eye of the Storm means that their trades are very, very strong because a lot of that damage won't actually go down permanently onto the health bar of Lucian. However, if Corki and Thresh manage to land it all in, they do a lot more in that scenario, especially pre-6 where Monsoon isn't available to the Janna.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that Monsoon's such an incredibly powerful ability, but we are now going to see the top laners and jungles locked in. We've got Maokai in this top lane for Aces High, Nunu jungle. I mean, I could be wrong. We could see a Nunu top lane Maokai jungle, but it doesn't seem incredibly likely. And then on the side of Renaissance, we're going to see the Kassadin and Zed locked in. Now, those legitimately could be either way around.
Yeah, those definitely could be either way around. I think it's likely that the Kassadin will be top lane. Zed, ideally, he wants to be in that middle lane because he doesn't need quite the same length of time to become strong as Kassadin does. But he is very good at ganking, he's very good at roaming around, using that death mark to jump onto the side lanes, and hopefully, get some kills as a result of that. Kassadin, on the other hand, takes a little bit longer to sort of power up, but if you can get to the point where he is actually quite strong, then he can roam around and do a lot of insta-killing as well. He does a very high amount of burst damage as the later game progresses, especially if he goes for the AP build, where, you pick up that Rod of Ages and then move into AP. The alternative is that you go for a sort of tankier build, which isn't terrible. It's not, It's more specifically aimed at dealing with a certain team composition, for example. So if you're against like a double AD comp, you might want to go for a Frozen Fist or Iceborne Gauntlet, they call it now. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides to go for.
It will indeed. Just because we're having a couple of little issues with the overlay for Champion Select, I'll quickly run through which teams are playing which champions. On the side of Renaissance, we're going to see Hedin in the top lane playing on that Kassadin. We're then going to see Clover in the jungle on the Fiddlesticks. We're then going to see Orianna. We're going to see Zed in the mid lane playing Hide from Para playing that one. We're going to see Death Knight on Corki as the AD carry, and then Dizzy on Thresh as the support. And then on the side of Aces High, we're going to have Thaldrin in the top lane on that Maokai. We're going to see Theokols on Nunu in the jungle. Then we're going to see Orianna played by Riosta, and that's going to be the mid lane. Then Holy Phoenix AD carry Lucian, and Lethillian on the Janna support. So should be a pretty good matchup. We've got a couple of little bit interesting picks. Obviously, Kassadin top lane, not something we see too often, but can do fairly decent against Maokai. Obviously, both of them want spells to be spammed. Obviously, Kassadin for his Force Pulse, Maokai for his Sustain. How do you feel that top lane is going to pan out?
I think typically Maokai can do quite well in this lane if he doesn't fall behind early on, because he becomes quite tanky, and Kassadin doesn't deal that much damage in the early game. The disadvantage here is that Maokai actually does do a lot of damage in lane to his opponents, typically. He provides, he's got 3 abilities that all do magic damage. One of them does it based off of your maximum health, which is actually very good in most top lane matchups. However, against Kassadin, he is going to be able to use that Null Sphere to provide himself with a magic shield, and he is not the highest health target, so the percentage damage doesn't scale that well off of the Twisted Advance coming out of Maokai. I think if either of them get ahead, the lane could snowball, but Kassadin, by virtue of the fact that he builds more damage, will get to a point where he can do a bit more in the 1 versus 1 if the lane goes on for that long. Likely, though, we won't see it continue until that point, and both of these top laners will be looking to use teleports to make things happen elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. And I mean, teleport has been such a staple part of the meta for such a long time now. It's just the power that brings you across the entire map. It means that while a lot of the time you see people mentioning how top lane is like an island, you're just there on your own in that 1v1 scenario, with the use of teleport, you become actually part of more like a team environment, and you can actually help out your allies and be part of the bigger picture. So obviously the teleport, a big part of the meta, and has been for a long time. We are actually starting to see a few more people pick up that Ignite in the top lane, but not going to be seeing that this game, as we see Renaissance heading into the jungle. As a 5-man, they could be going for some level 1 action here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for them to do. They do have that Thresh, Flay, or Death Sentence, depending on what he decides to level up at level 1. That can be very good at securing a kill. Also, in a pinch, Clover on Fiddlesticks could decide to level up an ability other than his Drain if they want to make sure that they get this kill. But Nunu, Theocles, he's just going to back away. He knows that he doesn't really want to risk fighting them head-on-head at the moment. And placing down that ward is also very good. It means that he won't be caught out heading back into that jungle to try and take a camp away.
Yeah, but
Theocles
really,
actually might end up having to go down to his blue buff here, just because he is potentially too afraid to go to his red buff right now.
right now, there is literally no way for him to get into his jungle without being seen. Now, look at that ward line on that minimap. You've got 4 wards all the way across, blocking every single entrance to the jungle, meaning they know for a fact he is starting at that red buff, and they know that they're safe.
Looks like he's actually planning on going for the red anyway, even though the blue buff would potentially be safer against invade, because if you look at the wards, Aces High actually don't have anything at the entrance to their jungle. They've got that one deep ward behind their inner tower, but they don't have anything further up to make sure that they're aware of whether or not the Nunu's going to be invaded on. Nunu Theocles is actually doing the correct play here, I think, and starting on his Krugs. That does mean if that anyone was waiting for him at the red buff, they're not going to find him, they're going to have to waste a little bit more time, so he's taking a safer option here, and if he would get ganked in this situation, he would have been wasting a little bit of time coming out of Renaissance. So, nice decision there. Meanwhile, we see Clover starting on his Gromp. Obviously, that's a really nice buff for Fiddlesticks to get with that smite early on. Having the poison armor means that Fiddlesticks, who basically can only do single target damage at level 1, is also going to be able to clear out the small golems.
Yeah, and I just want to point something out that happened in the bot lane there. Really, really nice trade for Renaissance. They were level 1 against level 2 Lucian. Holy Phoenix got caught out by the Death Sentence though, and they had a really, really nice trade. And again, trading incredibly well in the spot lane. This Thresh Lucian lane, Corki lane is really paying off for them.
Yeah, it's doing very good so far. They actually did hit level 2 first. And with things like that hook, you know, that's exactly what you cannot be allowing on the side of Ace. It's definitely, you know, they've got the ability to poke and trade out, but what they don't have the ability to do is get hooked in and take tons of damage and win the trade, because the way that they win a trade is a piercing light just kind of scratching them, exactly like Holy Phoenix just did there. Actually, that was really nice. The kind of trades they can't win is if someone gets hooked in and just takes a phosphorus bomb to the face or something like that. That's too much damage. The advantage they have is that they can avoid that kind of thing unless they keep getting hooked like this.
Yeah, it's not going so well for Holy Phoenix this game. Dizzy doing an incredibly job to keep landing those death sentence snipes onto him. And if this keeps on happening, once Corki picks up a couple of items when he's got that Sheen and maybe the Phage as well, Holy Phoenix won't be able to afford to be grabbed like that. He'll take far too much damage.
That is very true, and he needs to make sure... I actually think, given how well Dizzy's hooks have gone so far this game, picking up early boots on Holy Phoenix might be a really worthwhile decision. It's kind of like how back in the day when you used to see Blitzcrank being picked up. Boots was an item that you had to rush because you needed to be able to dodge those hooks. In this scenario, Dizzy is doing so good that I would actually give him the respect to pick up those boots, just to make sure that, you know, the bot lane of Aces High don't fall to something.
Yeah, and we're seeing the heal already being forced, but now the exhaust goes down onto Dizzy. Interesting choice. Nunu is going to come in for the gank. There's the double man Howling Gale. Flash comes out from Dizzy. That's going to save his life. Clover hanging in these sidelines. He looks like he wants to gank, but I don't think there's going to be much of an opportunity. However, there's no ward in this bottom lane brush for Aces High. If he can sneak in, if they can clear these minions out quick enough, he might be able to get in here for a gank. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to pull this one off. There goes the last minion. I think he's out of vision range now if he goes into the brush, but looks like he's going to run through the river. That's going to be the Fear coming down. A beautiful death sentence and a beautiful lantern. Going to secure that for themselves, and obviously the Fear on Fiddlesticks going to mean that Lethillion, can't even flash.
Yeah, that was really, really nice. Just a great chaining of the CCs. They didn't overlap them, which meant that none of it was wasted. They were able to get the entirety of that down. Mid lane, wow, Hide from Para actually falling that Ignite. That's crazy.
Yeah, really, really good play by Riosta. And to be honest, Ignite on Orianna, not something we see very often.
No, it's a very unusual pickup, especially in a lane where you're playing against a Zed. Typically on Orianna, you want to be picking up that barrier, heal, or exhaust in order to make it so that you are able to just maneuver around in fights and keep laying down your spells, which over time do a lot of damage. Orianna, once she has some cooldown reduction, functions somewhat like an AP version of an AD carry with a lot of consistent damage. She's trying to get that utility out for as long as possible, shields on her team, that kind of thing. But if you go for that Ignite, it does provide you a lot more kill pressure in lane, but it means that later on in the game, if you get jumped on by Hyde from Para in a situation where he's trying to all-in you in the backline, and you die, you do a lot less if he picked up that Ignite. So it's an interesting decision that he's gone for that. It suggests that they want Orianna to hit a power spike slightly earlier in the game than had she gone for one of those more defensive summoner spells.
Indeed it does, and we're going to see Dizzy getting out some wards in this bottom lane, trying to set up for any future engages. Looking across the board right now, the only lane that there's a significant lead on right now is the mid lane. I can't say his name. Riosta, 1-0 and nearly just over 10 CS up on his lane opponent. But Holy Phoenix having to use the Relentless Pursuit early. This could mean he gets caught by the Death Sentence. It does. He gets hit by the Phosphorus Bomb. There's a flash as well. Valkyrie comes in. They're trying to secure the kill. Relentless Pursuit comes up available again, though. He's going to be able to get away with that one. And actually, not too bad of a trade for Aces High. Health-wise, they did okay, but having to use that Summoner spell is going to be detrimental to them later.
Yeah, they really need to have that available in this lane. The reason for that is because the bottom lane coming out of Renaissance is so much better at doing all
this bottom lane though, there's going to be the slow from the Ice Blast. Oh, but Holy Phoenix gets caught by the Death Sentence. Beautifully played by him. This is going to be Death Knight picking up a kill onto Holy Phoenix. He's not even going to go down. Clover has arrived. There's the drain onto Lithilian, but he's going to be able to get away. Theocles managing to pick up yet another kill. Can Clover secure anything here? He's trying to chase this one up, but the movement speed from Nunu is going to be more than enough for him to get away.
Yeah, really nice job there. Theocles able to pick up Death Knight kind of made that trade a bit worth it. The problem is that Death Knight actually is... he's doing a little bit better in the lane, considering that Holy Phoenix should be winning it early on. And as Death Knight gets closer and closer to that Trinity Force, the lane is going to start to become an issue more and more for Aces High. So they need to be able to control the amount of aggression coming out of Death Knight. It would not surprise me to see Theocles prioritizing his time in this bot lane very heavily.
Yeah, it definitely would not surprise me either. Obviously, Corki not a champion that you want to be snowballing out of control towards that mid game. When he does pick up that Triforce, his burst damage is insane, and also the sustain damage he can put out, because the way his rockets work, obviously he can regularly proc that sheen damage, and when your auto attacks are hitting for basically 150% of what they should be, a lot of the time that's going to basically win you a trade. But Holy Phoenix trading incredibly well 2v1, managing to dodge out from everything that fight and doing some decent damage to his lane opponents.
That's exactly what he needs to be doing. If he gets hit by a death sentence in that situation, he is probably going to die. So really nice job by him. He did have the heal available, so he might have been able to get away, but without Flash, when there's Ignite down on Dizzy, that heal could be mitigated if it's used correctly. Theocles,
though, coming into this top lane, and he's ganking like crazy. There's the Flash having to be used by Hedin, but the Flash ultimate from Clover is going to land, but it's not going to do enough damage. Thaldrin going really deep on this one, does have his Slicing Maelstrom ticking away. It's going to be able to do a bit of damage, but Clover not going to go down to that one. Still has his life drain available. The blink in from Hedrin. Do they have the damage? There's the life drain. The flash comes out from Thaldrin at the last second, and he survives on less than 10 HP there. Oh, but Hyde from Para is here. He's going to be able to secure this one for his team. Actually using the death mark there. Going to jump back to his shadow. He'll be just all right there and going to head back towards the mid lane. And in the meantime, we see Aces High pushing out this bot lane. We've got the mid laner pushing down towards here as well. Death Knight could be in trouble, but there's the Valkyrie just to get out of there.
Yeah, actually, during that whole exchange in the top lane, Holy Phoenix picked up a kill on Dizzy, which enabled them to get that push. That is really, really nice, because as I was saying, at this stage in the game, they should be winning out 2 versus 2. It's only once it gets to the point where Corki and Thresh can go all in very easily that they should be excelling in this lane. So that was a really nice play by Aces High to come back into the lane. I'd argue they were slightly behind. Now if you look at the CS though, that's a 20 CS lead coming out of Holy Phoenix. That's crazy. And if they get this dragon too, you know, suddenly things are starting to look really, really nice for Aces High.
Yeah, they do pick up that dragon, and that's going to be really good for them, but Theocles, I can't say his name. Theocles is doing absolute work for his team right now. He has been absolutely everywhere he's needed to be so far this game, and really, really just so far he's secured his team his dragon. He's secured a kill in the bottom lane and in the top lane, and then he's not even needed to be in the mid lane because Riosta is doing fine just on her own. 15 CS up now and has that kill as well that was actually picked up 1v1. And Hide from Power obviously does have a kill himself as well, but that was picked up in the top lane, wasn't in that 1v1 situation.
Yeah, I mean, it was very nice that he managed to pick up that kill on Thaldrin, but unfortunately, as it was not against Riosta, it didn't deny Riosta actually any of the CS in the lane, any of the experience in the lane. So if you look at Riosta, she's actually ahead in a level right now, which is a very big deal because it means she's going to hit level 11 first. That shockwave goes up a lot in base damage as you get those levels, so that is going to be very important if they decide to 1v1 when Riosta hits level 11. In addition to that, if she decides to roam, she'll be more potent. So basically, having that experience lead after forcing Hide from Power back to base because he died means that she can do so much more with that power spike than she ordinarily would be able to.
Oh, and another beautiful death sentence lands onto Holy Phoenix. There's going to be the Monsoon, but the box is onto Holy Phoenix. That's going to stop him escaping, but now both teleports are going to be coming down. Heading on this front line takes a lot of damage from the Culling. There's the Twisted Advance. That's going to secure one kill. Death Knight having to use his Valkyrie to get away there, but the flash forwards from Holy Phoenix, but now Clover arrives with the Crow Storm. This is going to be Thaldrin going down. It's a 1-for-1 so far. And literally, only the top lane is going down. Both of them TP to try and help and end up going down. But now we see the Death Sentence going down in the mid lane. There's the Shockwave, but it's not going to be enough. And that's going to be Riosta picking up another kill. And Theocles is just absolutely everywhere he needs to be.
Yeah, he's doing a really, really nice job. And actually, that was also a beautiful play by Riosta. The Shockwave hit exactly as the Death Mark ended its channel time and Zed reappeared on the map. It was perfect timing. Had it been used later, there would have been a chance for Hide from Power to react to it, maybe dash back to his shadow. Had it been used earlier, it wouldn't have hit because he was invulnerable. So perfect timing coming out of Riosta, and that was some very high level play.
It was indeed. And gonna see some nice little vision clearing from Renaissance here. They're trying to push onto this tower. They know that the enemy bot lane is heading back to base. They're trying to do what they can with this little bit of time, but if you have a look in the river right now, look at the ward coverage from both teams. There are wards all up and down that river area. Obviously, red team having mostly the wards in the river, but then blue team having wards at either side of it.
Yeah, the vision control in that bot river is just crazy. Both teams prioritizing all of their vision down there right now. And actually, it's kind of interesting that they're doing that, considering that there's only, Dragon being gone means that they only really need a ward at the entrance to the river in middle lane and the exit of the river in bottom lane. They've got wards actually on the Dragon and deeper than they probably need them. And obviously that's to do with the fact that there's so much action in the bot lane, but arguably they're using a little bit more of their resources down there than they need to. Meanwhile, that opens up a lot of action to potentially happen in the top lane if either of the junglers decide to spend some time up there.
Yeah, and it really wouldn't surprise me if Theocles does go up there. Obviously, he's been roaming like crazy so far this game, and if he goes up there, definitely could potentially get something. Obviously, his ultimate is available again. That Absolute Zero is so potent, but against the caster, it is going to be hard for that to land. Pretty heavy trade going in favor of Aces High in that bottom lane. Nothing going to come off that just yet.
Yeah, Aces High really
nice
do.
Death Sentence is going to land. Lithilian going to be the target. Death Knight actually manages to get a rocket across, but he gets incredibly low. That's going to be him going down. Holy Phoenix picks that one up. Now Dizzy, so low. The Relentless Pursuit going to pick him up the double kill. And despite the bad early game, Aces High's bot lane is doing pretty well now.
This is what I was talking about. So long as they can dodge a lot of the big spells coming out of Renaissance, they have so much more consistent damage. Holy Phoenix has a lot of very low cooldown spells, and his passive means that every time he uses it, he gets 2 auto attacks. When you've picked up an early Brutalizer and Pickaxe, that means that you do a lot of damage. Meanwhile, if you look over to Corki, he's in a position where he needs to land the Phosphorus Bomb in order to do damage. He needs to land the Gatling gun for several seconds. That's hard to do when Lucian can just Relentless Pursuit away. Holy Phoenix has all of the tools he requires to dodge out in these fights and just trade from safety rather than committing to an all-in, which is what the bot lane of Renaissance has to do.
Shockwave going down in the mid lane though. There's the Death Mark as well. The Ignite is taken. There's the Flash auto attack. Actually, the auto attack flying like a frisbee through the air there, and does manage to pick up the 1v1 kill, but now the death sentence is going to land onto Holy Phoenix. But this is not a fight Dizzy wants, or is it? The Crow Storm comes through. There's the flash. A really nice Monsoon is going to keep them alive, but not for long enough. There's going to be Lithilian going down as well. Double kill coming across for Corki. The Absolute Zero is going to pick up the counter kill onto Dizzy, but that is a nice pickup again. There's just these kills coming across for Aces High. They're slowly but surely pulling ahead of their opponents right now.
Yeah, I mean, that fight was nice. It's very good that Theocles was able to get the return kill onto Dizzy. However, Corki picking up 2 kills there means that suddenly he's looking a lot closer in score to Holy Phoenix. And once he hits that Trinity Force, there's no doubt that he is going to be able to out-trade Holy Phoenix if they decide to go for it, purely because he's not going to be as reliant on landing those big spells like Phosphorus Bomb. Instead, he can just Rocket Sheen proc, and still do so much damage. The Trinity Force spike that Corki gets cannot be underestimated. And actually, Riasta does so much damage. I just saw him manage to get the dissonance onto Clover.
Oh, Clover goes down. A crit comes out from Holy Phoenix there on the last auto attack. And actually, he's going deep onto Death Knight. There's going to be the Piercing Light. Picks himself up a double kill. And Holy Phoenix is pulling out all of the stops for game 1 here. He's not fussed. And we're actually going to see Thaldrin dive in here onto Hedron in that top lane, but now we're going to see Hide from Power in a lot of trouble, but Dizzy going to get dived in the bot lane. He's going to get a counter kill onto Lithilian, but that is not good enough for his team. I mean, right now, Holy Phoenix picking up another assist. He is 6-2-4, and as well, the mid laner, Riasta, 4-0-1.
Yeah, Riasta is actually the one who I really want to talk about here. Pretty much the majority of those kills have been him solo killing Hide from Para, and that's actually kind of unexpected. You'd expect Zed to be doing really nicely in that 1 versus 1 matchup. However, because Riasta decided to go for that Ignite, he has a lot more kill potential than he ordinarily would, so long as he pokes down Hide from Para first. So long as he is able to burst Hide from Para as soon as he comes out of the death mark, he's not going to take too much damage from that.
The turret is going to go down in the spotlight, and Death Knight is going to be in a lot of trouble. That's going to be the Crow Storm from Clover, though. It's going to save his teammate. The Culling does a lot of damage to Clover, though. He might get crit out. A nice Relentless Pursuit to dodge out from that Death Sentence. There's the Smite. He's trying to use the Drain to keep him alive. The crit comes through, but it's not enough. That's a kill for Clover. Now Lithilian on this front line. A nice Monsoon is going to interrupt the channel. Clover finally goes down. Now he's going to go onto Death Knight, sorry. That's going to be the Piercing Light to finish that one off now. Dizzy going to get knocked up by the Howling Gale. This is going to be the triple kill. Teleport comes through, but I think they might even want to cancel that. No, they don't. We've got the mid laner coming down as well, but a flash from Holy Phoenix, a second too late. The Death Mark goes down, and that's going to be a kill for Hide from Para, but in the meantime, this mid lane's being pushed out.
Yeah, really nice by Riasta to make the most of that situation. Had he followed, because we had Hedon and Hide from Para both on full health, that likely would have ended up in Riasta either dying or having to retreat without getting any kills. Pushing the middle lane was a much more valuable use of his time, and it meant that Lithilian could retreat to him and then get away a lot easier than if Riasta actually went to the bottom lane and didn't make something happen, was low. It would have been hard for Lithilian to get to safety.
Yeah, really, really strong play by him, and just look at the CS in this mid lane, 30 CS up, and in the bottom lane as well, 26 CS up on their lane opponents. And in fact, the top lane as well, 20 CS up. Across the entire board, Aces High looking so strong. And I mean, look at the kill figures as well, 9-3-4 on that AD carry right now, and 4-0-1 on the mid laner. That is not something you want to see as the opponents, and Dizzy now getting caught out yet again. The Relentless Pursuit going to secure that for them. And in the mid lane, you see Hide from Para gets caught out as well at the same time. Now Death Knight having to use the Valkyrie to try and get away from this one. But there's the slow coming in from Theocles. And that's going to be more than enough damage coming through. Holy Phoenix picking up yet another one.
Holy Phoenix is just on fire right now, potentially because he's a Phoenix, but he is doing so much damage now that he's picked up that early Yomu's as well as the Static Shiv. When he goes in, he can do so much burst.
Yeah, and that is going to be a second tier mid lane tower going down. Clover did Crow Stomp over that wall, but not going to have enough damage to do anything there. And now they're just going to straight up go for this inhibitor tower, and it's a 4v5 under this tower if they go for it. They are more than happy to dive this tower right now, and This is going to be an inhibitor going down for them. Unless Renaissance want to start a fight immediately. There's the death sentence, but it's not going to land. The death mark actually going to go on to Nunu. That's not the target they want. Hide from Para getting so low. Has to back away. A nice Monsoon. Going to keep the team alive, but he goes down for that. Now we see Hedron jumping onto this front line. Riosta going to be pretty much on his own here. Gets caught by the death mark. He's going to go down. Oh, the Zhonya's though at the last second. He might be able to bring Hide from Para with him. Yes, he can. The shield is going to come through. It's going to save his life briefly. A beautiful shockwave goes down, but it's not going to be able to be followed up by his team. But really nice counter kill there from Riosta.
Yeah, that was an excellent job there, managing to get it right at the end. And actually, that series of fights went on for so long that Riosta had Shockwave back up after it all started in the mid lane, before Holy Phoenix even got his kills in the bot lane. So that was a very extended fight, and actually we see a pattern emerging, which is that Aces High in these extended fights seem to always come out slightly ahead. They're doing such a good job of edging out over their opponents.
Yeah, and now it's like they've not really had anything that's too significant. And every single fight has sort of been trades until that last one, and then we now see them at a 10,000 gold lead almost, or more like 9,000. But I mean, those tiny little edges after fight after fight after fight has slowly but surely turned into a really big edge.
It is a massive edge, and you know, the Trinity Force on Corki came out so late, and I think that's a big part of the reason why they're so far behind. He wasn't able to deal with Holy Phoenix, because as soon as Holy Phoenix and Lithilian started playing the lane matchup correctly and they didn't get hit by those death sentences, they were able to just trade so much damage back, push their advantage, and Holy Phoenix is 11 for 3, whilst there's a 6 for 5 Death Knight on Corki. So, you know, that is the biggest area where I think Aces High really managed to push their advantage. Riosta in that mid lane did a great job of winning out 1 versus 1. However, it didn't snowball quite the same way as the bot lane did. I definitely think Holy Phoenix and Lithilian have been playing so well since that initial problem they were having in the lane.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, the build was really interesting from Holy Phoenix, opting to go for Ghostblade first on Lucian, followed by a ship, and now finally heading towards the Infinity Edge. Usually you see more of a just flat AD build coming out from Lucian, but opting to go for that attack speed and also for the movement speed.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense to go for that, and actually, now that there's this second, I just want to talk about the second dragon real quick, because obviously, we haven't really mentioned it yet, but this is 4.20 obviously. The dragon gives that stacking buff now. The fact that they've got that pushing power buff means that when you're this far ahead, you can push the wave so much quicker, and there's hardly any wave clear on the side of Renaissance.
That was awful for Renaissance. The Crow Storm has been used and it didn't do anything. Now Hide from Para getting the death mark onto Lithilian in the backline, but the Monsoon heal isn't going to be enough. The Mikhails comes through at the last second. He's going to survive. That's Hide from Para going down now. A beautiful shockwave locks up Death Knight. That's going to be the kill coming across now. Clover going to be the target. He goes down, manages to get Lithilian with him, but a 1 for 3 is not a fight that Renaissance want right now, and Aces High just pushing through this second tier tower. They could possibly rotate towards this mid lane and take the inhibitor.
I think it's very likely that they will do that. At this point, they are so far ahead. If they get an inhibitor, it's going to open up the entire map for so much more pressure. They can look towards maybe doing that Baron. They've got Theocles on Nunu, who's such a good champion at killing that, with Consume doing so much damage to monsters.
There's the
Taking
teleport
this inhibitor would be
coming
very
in,
big.
though. We're going to see Maokai jumps in, and that's going to completely negate any counter-engage coming from Renaissance. They should be able to get away with this one fairly comfortably. The damage coming out from Orianna already in this game. We're only 24 minutes in. Already has the Zhonyas and the Athenes, and able to half health Dizzy in 2 abilities.
Absolutely insane how much damage he does, actually. Riosta, you know, he's built quite defensively, like you were saying. If he picks up a Rabadon's Death Cap, he is going to be unbelievably strong.
Holy
now.
Phoenix, so ready. Quick fingers there, manages to pick up the 1v1 despite not actually having a ward in his opponent's brush there. Really strong play from him, and now he's going in for a 1v1 on the support underneath the tower here. Doesn't have the lifesteal he needs. He's going to go down, but really nice 1v1 on Death Knight there.
Yeah, I mean, the point he decided to go in for the Dizzy kill, he kind of had to. He was actually looking for the execute. Dashed over the wall, suddenly there was a Thresh there. He didn't have a way out. Tried to put as much damage down as he could, and actually he did do a lot. Heal, I'm not sure if it was up in that fight, but it did just come off cooldown. If not, had that been available, He may have been able to pick up Dizzy. I'm not sure using the heal there would have been the best use of it, though.
No, I think possibly even if it was up, he would have been sort of in the mindset of, I'd rather have this up in a team fight, be able to save myself and a teammate rather than just get it for a single support kill. It's not like he needs any more kills right now, let's be honest.
Yeah, it would be unnecessary for him just to trade heal for Dizzy when he could use it in a bigger fight. If he didn't have it, or if he did have it, that was definitely the right decision. And now, we're starting to see some vision going in the top side of the map. They've gotten as much as they want in that bottom side. Next up, I think, is going to be that Baron for Aces High.
Going to be the target of all of these ultimates. Again, manages to shield the Deathmark. He's going to survive. Yet again, Death Knight chasing on for that one. He's going to be able to get that. But Theocles in this front line gets the absolute zero. Does a lot of damage, but he's going to go down. This is a nice fight for Renaissance so far. They are starting to get pretty low. Thaldrin still on this front line. He's happy to go for this, and Dizzy is going to be the first. Oh, the Shockwave just misses though. Holy Phoenix manages to pick up another kill. That's 2 kills for him. Now Death Knight and Hedrin, the last two, or Hedin, sorry, the last 2 people alive. Riosta trying to chase onto this one, gets the movement speed with the dissonance, not quite able to get the Q damage down the Rift Walk. Gonna get head into safety there, but it looks like they're gonna be able to rotate down towards this bottom lane inhibitor.
Yeah, that fight started really well for Renaissance, but they needed to back out as soon as Riosta was, even nearby. Unfortunately for them, they didn't have the wards to know that he was coming in from the flank. They couldn't know when he was getting there. They couldn't retreat in time.
Heading gets obliterated there. Tries to burst down Holy Phoenix, but just does not have the damage at this stage in the game and just gets turned on immediately. I wouldn't even be surprised if they try and set up a trap in this jungle right now to see if anyone plays checks. We could actually see Riosta doing that. He's waiting in that brush. He wants to find something. Doesn't quite have Shockwave available, though. Going to decide to back away.
Yeah, had the Shockwave been available, that would have been a much more valid decision. But without it, it's difficult for him to burst that quickly. Riosta really excels in a situation, Orianna really excels in a situation where you can use lots of spells over a longer duration. Although, because he's so far ahead, he does have decent burst regardless.
Yeah, and this is going to be... Speaking of burst, they're going to be bursting this Baron down. They do manage to quickly pick that up, but this is going to be the fight starting. The Death Sentence doesn't quite land. Theocles is on the front line, but Fiddlesticks gets annihilated. There's the Deathmark coming through from Hyde from Para, but it's not going to be enough. Double kill for Holy Phoenix. He's trying to get caught by Hedin. He's doing what he can, but he's going to be able to walk away from that one. There's the absolute zero, but a nice Riftwalk is going to keep Hedin up and pick him up a kill, but that's the triple kill for Holy Phoenix. And Theocles actually getting aggressed upon by Dizzy, but he's going to trade his own life for that kill. I'm not really sure that was necessarily worth it. A quadra kill comes in for Holy Phoenix. This guy is on fire.
He is on fire. He is a Phoenix, as his name indicates. And I just want to talk a little about one of the items he's picked up, actually. The Quicksilver Sash is such a good item in this matchup. Obviously, Zed's Deathmark can be removed if you use it. So now it is so hard for them to actually deal with Holy Phoenix without that assassination potential coming out of that ultimate. Similarly, he can also use it to break a lot of the crowd control that might be going down on him in order to secure the kill for Renaissance.
Incredibly strong play from them, and I do agree with that QSS pickup. It's going to be really nice. And also, I mean, even if he gets caught by Clover, he's going to be able to cleanse the fear, but this is going to be Holy Phoenix potentially going down. There's the U-moves to get him a little bit further away. A really big crit onto Hedin before he goes down, but Hedin able to Rift Rock away from this one. This is going to be Thaldrin going down with Holy Phoenix. A nice pickup here from Renaissance. They're able to get 2 kills for nothing.
That's definitely what they need to start doing if they want to come back into this game. They are so far behind right now. 16k deficit at the time that I'm watching, which is slightly delayed, but, they also are behind in Dragons, and that's something which they need to urgently go secure for themselves. They need that 8% AD and AP, especially as we move into the late game. That scaling buff becomes ridiculously strong the longer the game goes along.
Yeah, we're going to see Dizzy actually getting caught by a Shockwave here. Riosta doing so much damage over that wall, not quite able to secure the kill for his team, but it is going to more than secure that dragon for them. And now, looking incredibly strong. We have 1 dragon on the side of Renaissance, and we have 3 dragons now on the side of Aces High. They're going to get that 5% movement speed.
Yeah, the 5% movement speed is actually really nice in this situation too. You've got a lot of gap closing potential on the side of Renaissance, so when you have the ability to move away as they try and engage, that provides a lot to your team. They've got that stacking on top of the 3% coming out of Lithilian's Janna. That's 8% additional movement speed that they haven't even had to pay for. They are so fast right now. They've also got Nunu's Blood Boil. How do you catch a Holy Phoenix with that much extra move speed at no expense to him? He's still built all that damage.
Yeah, he's doing incredibly well, and it's going to be an incredibly slippery Phoenix, which is not something you would usually see out in the wild, but we are going to be seeing Renaissance grouping up here, and this could be bad for them. Aces High looking like they want to try and set up a team fight. They're just looking for that engage, and Maokai nowhere near, but he has teleport available. There's the death sentence. It actually gets caught out, but Clover going to flash forwards with the Crowstone, but he gets one shot. Riosta easily able to dispatch him, and now we see Thaldrin coming in. That's going to be the death part going down onto Holy Phoenix, but he doesn't have the damage. Actually, the death sentence lands, but it's not going to be enough, I feel. The Ignite is taken away, but Holy Phoenix, despite everything being blown on him, survives the fight. There's the Monsoon to keep him back up to full HP now. A 4-0, and Aces High, I feel, are going to be able to take the game here.
That was an incredible fight, actually. Holy Phoenix survived, under so much pressure, and the Monsoon at the end healing him up so much was ridiculous. Actually, we didn't talk about this yet, but Lithilian went for that Spell Thief's Edge into Frost Queen's Claim this game, which is a really interesting pickup. It's debatable between a lot of pros whether that's better or worse than getting the gold item, but it seems to have paid off a lot. That EP healed up Holy Phoenix so much in that last fight.
Yeah, and that is going to be game 1 of today, going over to Aces High. An incredibly strong performance from them, able to just really snowball that early game in their favor and eventually take the victory. We're going to be heading, though, into game 2 shortly. Our game 2 is going to be between... Let me up the schedule. It's going to be between Aces High again and Hard Random. Now, Hard Random, a team that have been doing incredibly well in the SLTV Star League. They didn't drop a single game until the finals, which they ended up losing to Dolphins on Wall Street. So we'll see if Aces High are going to be able to keep up this winning streak and have a strong game against Hard Random. But we'll be going into a short music break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with the LoL Pro League.